Now, with the recently announced slate, the Phase 1, Chapter 1, of the DCU.
No, it's Phase 1, Chapter 1.
Phase
That's
1,
what
Chapter 1. I thought it was a really good mix of like weird and obscure kind of monster-esque characters, and then you got your legacy heroes.
Absolutely, yeah.
I thought it struck that balance really well. But I've actually got a list here, Mason, of characters and also team-ups that potentially I would like to see in the DCU.
Are these based on what we've already seen announced, or is this just off the top of your dome?
Some of it is.
Oh.
Some of it is not.
Oh my God, some of this is original content. Bloody buckle up, folks.
Some of these
We're
are
in for a real car crash of a vid, I'll tell you that much.
Some of these are characters.
What about Spider-Man? Could Spider-Man be? No, James. No. God.
Some of these are based on characters that I've actually invented.
Oh, no.
And this is my pitch to DC.
Oh.
No, anyways, leave a like if you could. I'm going to start things off with Animal Man.
Yeah.
And there's a specific run that I'm talking about. Now, Jeff Lemire and Travel Foreman, they rebooted Animal Man with the new 52.
Oh, yeah, right.
Animal Man also has a lot of ties more recently to Swamp Thing. Obviously, we are getting the Swamp Thing movie. But just the idea of this character with this in-depth link to this particular part of nature and the universe. It's also like a tragic tale about like the loss of his son. It's like a silly character, like the idea of it. You're like, is this Rob Schneider's The Animal? At one point, sort of, yes. But it's evolved into this really interesting character study, or this run in particular.
Yeah.
And I think, look, if you're going to do Swamp Thing, why can't you do an Animal Man in the style of this?
Now, interestingly, Animal Man is one of the rare comic book characters who is sometimes aware that he is a comic book character. Do you want that?
No.
You don't want that?
Nobody knows anything.
Okay, great. What the hell's that? It's an animal. Dude, that's one... You get your power. Oh my God, this guy.
And even exploring, I know it explores like his origin, because I think initially it was like one dumb thing, and then it was, I won't spoil it here if you haven't read the comic, and then they twisted into like, oh no, this is actually what happened to this guy. And I love all of that. But yeah, read the run if you haven't, but also make the movie maybe. Next up, Mason.
Go on.
I know we love like an evil Justice League situation.
Yes.
And it's probably too early for this to do it straight out the gate. Sure. Let's see an Injustice. But, you know, that's also the characters that we know that there's just an evil spin on them. It's like it's Superman, but it's evil. I feel like that's maybe not as interesting as maybe doing something like the Crime Syndicate of America.
Oh, from a parallel Earth.
Exactly.
And it's the Justice League, but it's the evil Justice League.
Well, it's not only that, you could also recast all of the characters so you haven't got the same person playing Superman, the same person playing Batman, because you've got like Ultraman, who's like mob boss Superman.
Sure.
You've got Owlman, who's Batman, but he's an absolute psycho and an owl.
Which is worse, don't know.
Then we've got a version of Wonder Woman who's actually Superwoman. There's Power Ring, which is basically Green Lantern. Johnny Quick, who's that based off? Who could say?
I don't know.
But I think that way, you know, you could even bring in maybe actors who have already played similar-esque characters.
Adam West.
Yeah, Adam West. Maybe
Christopher
someone.
Reeve?
Yeah, maybe people more alive.
Okay.
Maybe I'd go in that direction. But yeah, I think that might be more interesting than the Justice League fights the same people, but they're slightly evil at Justice League.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just my personal opinion, but also if you want to do Injustice.
What about this, though?
whatever.
The same actors, but they all have eye patches.
That's good.
2 eye patches each.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
That's an element of danger.
Yeah.
Now, we know also in this universe that the Bat family exists because the Robin that they're going with is the little psychopath one that Bruce
Damian
Wayne's
Wayne,
son.
that's right.
Yeah, and we're getting that movie in the first Batman movie in this universe. And so I guess as a result of that, this is a pretty basic concept, but I would love to see a Nightwing movie.
That would be terrific.
Yeah.
He's a little bit like Batman.
Yep.
He's a little bit rock and roll.
He's a little bit rock and roll, isn't he?
He's and you know, he is Batman, but he's more happy-go-lucky.
Yep.
We'll see a different city. I mean, it's Bloodhaven, which is their slogan is almost as gross as Gotham City.
Yeah.
But you know, it's different. It's
Yeah.
you know, give it a little different flavor. What do you want? Do you want long-haired Nightwing? Do you want short-haired Nightwing? Do you want ponytail Nightwing?
Do you want disco collar?
I was going to
Nightwing?
say, do you want disco collar Nightwing?
Yes.
Great.
No, I love the black and the blue suit. You could do red, whatever. I'm not fussed. But what I also like about the character of Nightwing, there is that element of, depending on where you kind of arrive at him, of he's stepped away from Batman, and there is that animosity there because they kind of disagree with each other's methods, and he's kind of resentful that Batman's just replaced him with just other Robins, you know? He also doesn't have normally the availability and the wealth and the gadgets that Batman has. So he has to repair his suit. He can't like just throw his weapon at somebody and then not get it.
He has to ask for it back.
Depending on the version, etc.
Yeah. Okay, now that's a great idea. What about just a Robin solo movie?
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Batman's got to go away on business.
Yep.
And he's like, don't you fight too much big crime while I'm on holiday or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm in a business. I'm not going on holiday. Yeah.
I mean, I would even love to see, there's an incredible Scott Snyder run where Nightwing becomes Batman. It's one of the best Batman stories again because Batman goes away and Nightwing's just like, I'll take a run at this. It's great. It's really
What's
good.
the worst that could happen?
Yeah. Next one, and I'll put this in just for you, Mason. Jimmy Olsen movie.
Yes.
Now, I know people other than you might be like, that's dumb. Doing a Jimmy Olsen movie is dumb.
But interestingly, I also think it's dumb, but in a good way.
Exactly. So I saw a tweet which I thought was really funny and summed up the relationship that Jimmy Olsen has to the DC universe. And I wish I had the tweet in front of me. I don't. I'll try and find it for this video. But it basically said that it's interesting because Superman is Batman's best friend, but Superman's best friend is Jimmy Olsen.
Sure, right. Yes.
And if you look at all the old comics, they had the strangest adventures together.
Yeah.
And they're always getting into scrapes. And Jimmy Olsen maybe gets superpowers and turns giant and tries to smash a city. Or
Sometimes he's a giant turtle man. Sometimes he's gone all elastic and plastic.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes he's got Superman's powers. And what is interesting about Jimmy Olsen, I also don't have this reference here, but
Yeah.
I remember somebody saying the thing about Jimmy Olsen is that he saw this man come down from the sky with godlike powers. And he's like, I'm going to be that guy's friend. And then I think kind of summarizes their, like his characterization.
Yeah.
He's just a guy who just rolls with everything.
Yes.
I think that's interesting. And he can be, you know, on a far-flung interstellar adventures or, you know, he can just
getting coffee for everybody.
He can just get coffee for anybody and make a real hash of it.
Yeah.
And spill it all down Perry White's front.
I think, you know, in the Snyderverse, they weren't quite sure what to do with him.
So they shot him in the head.
They shot him in the head, yeah. But he didn't really fit in that universe. And I
Because he was dead.
Yes.
He fit in a coffin.
Certainly. And they didn't even really say it was him explicitly, at least in the cinematic cut of it. But no, I think a Jimmy Olsen focused story. And also he's like a hero in his own right. He does his own adventures. He does his own reporting and photography and all of those things. And I think that could be a really fun...
Well, let me ask you this, James. Modern day Jimmy Olsen or bow tie and Argyle vest Jimmy Olsen?
That one.
Okay, great.
Obviously, Mason.
Yeah, terrific.
That one. Next up we have, again, probably a pretty obvious choice, but Martian Manhunter, a movie or show or whatever you want to call it, but you could do it kind of like as a crime procedural.
Sure.
And we know also they're doing like a Green Lantern, like True Detective-esque kind of show, it seems.
Yeah, right,
But the interesting thing about this character is that he's from a doomed planet, Mars, where all the Martians died, and he comes to Earth and he takes on the role of a police detective. So I think, you know, what if he's a police detective, he's solving crime, but also he's Martian Manhunter.
Oh,
so he's got the
that's a bit of a twist.
Yes.
That's a little different from SVU.
That's right. So he has the advantage
That we know about.
That we know about. He's a shapeshifter as well, so he can look like anybody, but he chooses to, you know, to look like this particular human. How does that affect his detective work? Obviously, he's got skills and abilities that other people around him don't know. How does he hide that? How does he present evidence? How does he approach tasks differently than a normal human being?
yeah, sure.
You know, imagine Monk.
How does he hold a pen?
How does he hold a pen? Imagine Monk, but he's an alien, I
Yeah,
guess,
right,
but not Monk. You know what I mean?
Sure.
A fish out of water scenario and an excellent detective, but he also happens to be an alien from a doomed race who can't light on fire because it'll kill him or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Speaking of detectives and so
Sure.
on and so forth, here's something that's vaguely related. I've been reading the Tom King, Greg Smallwood run of Human Target.
Yeah.
Which is a character who's had a number of attempts on the small screen. There was a version where he was played by Rick Springfield. There was a version where he doesn't have any of his signature Master of Disguise abilities.
Why would you need it?
Why would you need it? Just run that for 2 seasons. Why not? And then he appeared a couple of times in the CW.
Yeah.
But he is a normal man. He's not got superpowers, but he has the skills to become anyone as a Master of Disguise,
Yes.
and he uses
like
that.
the movie, the Dana Carvey movie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Mostly he's a turtle man. They can team him up with Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
And he is a bodyguard who disguises himself as the target.
Yeah.
And then he lures out the killer, perhaps, and then he
Beats him up.
Then he beats him up real bad. And I would love to see that in a universe. Like I would love to see more non-powered characters who are just interesting characters with interesting skill sets and how they interact with the DC universe as a whole. I think that'd be cool.
You know what I just
You
realized?
get John Hamm.
You could get John Hamm.
He's looking great, that guy.
It's true. You know what's interesting, Mason?
Yes.
This list that was my list has now become our list.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
Got a couple left.
What about Spider-Man? That's you. Not me, though. I've got good ideas.
You had one.
Yeah, I had an idea.
Right, now eventually we're going to be getting a Justice League movie, right?
Yes.
And what do you do with that? How do you approach that? And I think one way to do it would be to maybe potentially do the comic book storyline, which is one of our favorites, Justice League New World Order. It's not early days Justice League, but it does feel like a fresh take on it because it's also, you wouldn't have to do any of this, but it's set just after Superman has come back from the dead.
Oh, yeah.
He still has his mullet. And there's...
Okay, just admit it. That's what you want. You want
Yeah, it's just
Superman with
that.
a mullet and you're just going to try and force your way into
I
it.
did campaign for that for years for the Snyderverse. Yes,
sure you
that
did.
did happen. But there's and I guess this is similar to what we talked about earlier, there is a super team that come to Earth and seemingly solve everybody's problems. And everybody loves this new team and are enamored with all their abilities and their cool looks.
These Justice League, get out of here, you
Yes.
bums.
Now, I'm going to spoil this story,
Uh-oh.
but you should read it before I spoil it, but I have to spoil it to explain why I think this is good.
Get reading.
Yeah, it turns out that this super team are actually the White Martians. And
So they're all what it did, those Martians.
That's right, so they're the enemy race from John Johns' planet, Martian Manhunter, who, by the way, would have already had a solo movie if this thing worked out that I'm talking about.
yeah.
And so basically they all have the powers of Superman and more. So they're all as fast as the Flash. They're all as strong as Superman. Like they can look and be anybody. And what I think's great about that comic, and we've talked about this before, is that it really proves why every single person in the Justice League is on the team.
Yes.
Including Batman, who takes out like 3 of them. Because he's one of the first people to figure out who they are. And he's like, oh, they don't like fire. And he just like fucks up a bunch of them. Terrific book, if you haven't read it.
It's like, this is a great idea. I should use this in all the regular criminals.
Fire and beating up people.
That's right.
And I guess from Elseworld stories, because this is going to be an Elseworld universe, I understand, like, sure, Superman Red Sun could be interesting, a live-action Gotham by Gaslight, but I think if you're going to do something weird and obscure and maybe gothic, Batman and Dracula Red Rain.
Uh-oh.
Where it's Batman versus Dracula, and Batman also turns into a Dracula
Yes.
at some point. Just a weird gothic nightmare. And, he's basically a Dracula anyway.
Yeah.
But what if you just took it that step further?
And you really ramp it up. Because
Yep.
oftentimes with these Elseworlds, especially if it's set in this kind of universe, the art style will be like super exaggerated. Batman's got the enormous bat ears, like he's got that super weird musculature and the big architectural cape and all that sort of stuff. Just make it freaky. Make it freaky and horny like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
You cast like a weird crooked ghoul of a Batman as well.
Yes.
I can't even think of an example. Stuart Townsend.
Stuart Townsend.
Johnny Lee Miller.
Wow. Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah.
I don't know, but you don't have to...
Pete Townsend
There
from
you-
The Who. Sienna Miller from the movie Alfie.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But I think, you don't have to do like a traditionally handsome like Bruce Wayne Batman.
Yeah, make him a goblin.
You can make him a goblin, Robert Pattinson would have been a good choice if he wasn't already Batman.
That's
I
true,
guess,
yeah.
Also, a weird gothic goblin of a man.
Yes.
So these are just some of my things that I would like to see. But if anybody has any examples of things that they would like to see, let's hear it.
Let's hear him.
And let's all make some money when they eventually buy these ideas that we all collectively have come up with.
Oh, is that how it's going to work?
Yeah, because DC come up with them and then we parrot them back to them and then they give us money.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a new...
We're going to be
This is
rich.
a new thing we're doing.
Okay, great.
Yeah. It's not a scam.
Okay, sure.
It's real. But speaking of not scams, Mason.
Go on.
We actually have a service called bigsandwich.co, which is like our private Patreon. And on there's bonus movie commentaries, there's bonus podcasts, videos that we make go up early. Maybe even saw this one early there. Also our podcast, The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows, that comes out there a day early on Sunday as opposed to Monday.
That's right.
If you are interested. But yeah, again, got any ideas, leave them below. And I hope you left that like because I said it twice already. And it's embarrassing for me to have to circle back to that.
It's like you're begging.
It is like that.
Very
It's
undignified
the year
for
of
you.
begging. We've talked about
that's
it.
yeah, that's
It's
terrific.
the year
yeah.
of begging for likes. All right, thanks everybody.
And grab that gem, you guys. We will see you in a later video.
I agree.